Of an international conference in London, ILTV's Steve Leibowitz interviewed former Australian Foreign Minister Gareth Evans. Evans is warning that President-elect Donald Trump has no sense of international issues, and he's even speaking out against Trump's campaign promise to dismantle the Iran nuclear deal.
Well, the Iran deal was a very sensible deal, and it's one that has basically been accepted as such by, I know, the Israel security and defence establishment, if not by its political leadership. God knows what Trump's view on this or anything else is. I think he is finding his way. He has no sense of the dynamics of international relations generally or the pros and cons of any particular individual aspect of it. He said all sorts of extravagant things on the campaign trail about this and many other things. I think we'll hopefully see a walking back from this. It's not an American deal, it's an international deal, it's a multilateral deal, and it's a perfectly sensible deal. The only problem with the deal was that it was 10 years too late and came at a time when the Iranians had 20,000 centrifuges rather than 200, which is what they had when the deal could have been first struck had people been a bit more sensible about it.
Also on the campaign trail, President Obama was talking about the danger of allowing Donald Trump to be the man with the nuclear codes. Are you similarly concerned?
Yeah, I mean, you look for qualities of character and judgment and balance in your political leadership, particularly if they're armed with nuclear codes and the nuclear button. It's a very, very dangerous world that we live in at the moment, and I think we all acknowledge that the biggest problem with nuclear weapons is not so much the likelihood of their deliberate use, but rather their use as a result of error or misjudgment or miscalculation. And it's exactly that possibility of misjudgment or miscalculation that I think we do have to be concerned about with Donald Trump's finger on the button.
Finally, I'd like to ask you this. This conference is dedicated to the prevention of nuclear catastrophe and has been working on that for more than a decade, certainly. Are you afraid that we're closer today to nuclear catastrophe than we were a year ago, 5 years ago, even 10 years ago?
Yes, I am, because the bottom has gone out of the market for any kind of sensible bilateral negotiations between the United States and Russia, which is crucial for other things to start happening in terms of the diminution of that risk. We do have multiple players now in the wider international community with India, Pakistan, Israel, of course, I have to acknowledge, but those two in particular. We have the possibility of pressures building up for South Koreans and others to join in the race because of anxieties about North Korea. And just generally, it's a very unsafe world out there. Again, I think the problem is not so much that anyone will be crazy enough to deliberately use nuclear weapons, because any such use is not only homicidal but suicidal, as we ought by now to be aware. But the problem is human error, system error, cyber sabotage, all the things that can go wrong. And the consequences of them going wrong are just devastating for life on this planet as we know it.
Well, I hope that your projections are overly cautious, perhaps I'd say, and that we are able to step back from the brink. Thanks so much for being with us at ILTV.
Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
Outgoing United Nations Secretary General